jullie van gebakken hersenen?
Ja!
Beam me up, Scotty.
Game Masters.
Welkom! Dat was het. Nee.
Oh, leuk.
Ja.
We zijn hier bij Joe Abercrombie, een schrijver uit Groot-Brittannië, die genoemd wordt als het aanstormende talent van de fantasy scene. En ik ga hem even een paar vragen stellen. Hallo Joe.
Oh ja.
Hi. Your work is described as edgy and humorous.
Right.
So, going on the humorous, do you get compared with Terry Pratchett a lot?
Not an awful lot. I think, when I was a kid and I read a lot of fantasy, I kind of found that I was a bit frustrated with the fact that some seemed to be take itself very seriously, and there was either fantasy that was very serious, or it tended to be much more explicitly kind of comic. And I wanted to write something that was like real life, I guess, in the sense that it had some grim moments and some darkness in it, but also some humour. And the humour is more just the humour of people talking and the kind of dialogue and so on. So it's not explicitly humorous, and it's also quite grim and violent at times. So I think, Pratchett's writing a slightly different thing, plus he's enormously more successful than me as well. So obviously from that point of view we don't get confused with each other, unfortunately.
What do you think people that like that kind of writing would also like your books?
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly hope so. I would certainly hope that every Terry Pratchett fan buys at least one of my books, and then I'll be able to have a swimming pool shaped like a magic sword, which I've always wanted. Yeah.
The worlds you created, would you actually want to live there rather than here?
Definitely not. I'm far too attached to kind of warm water and soft toilet paper, plumbing, electrics, all those sort of things. And my world in particular is quite kind of grim and dark, and powerful people in it are quite corrupt. It was my attempt to do a more sort of realistic, more cynical, more unpleasant fantasy sort of counterpoint with the shinier, cleaner sort of versions you get. So self-consciously, it's quite a grim world that I don't think I'd want to even visit, to be honest. Yeah, I like it warm with central heating.
What are you working on right now?
I'm in the midst of writing a fifth book, which is a similar kind of thing to what I've done before, set in the same world. I wrote a trilogy and then a standalone book that's in the same world, and this is another standalone single story, and it's kind of my attempt to fuse fantasy with a war story. So it's like Lord of the Rings meets A Bridge Too Far is the way that I try and sell it. That's my 5-second pitch.
I paint that way because that's how I dream things, that's how I see things. I feel called upon to make my art reflect the way I see my the reality inside my consciousness, and so I simply work on it until it looks like the vision that's in my head, and then I consider the work finished. And that means a higher degree of detail and finish, I think, than a lot of other work, so it ends up having a lot of detail and realism to it.
You also do album covers, Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell and Arise from Sepultura. Tell me, do you listen to the music first and get inspired by that, or?
If I can. Most times the music isn't done yet. They have rough tracks for me to listen to, but I often don't get a chance to listen to the current album that I'm doing the work for, at the time that I'm doing the cover. So generally the answer to that is no. unfortunately. But strangely enough, with the metal bands, usually what I have are titles. They have the titles, so they come up with cool names and cool words that sound really cool. But the actual songs and the words of the songs haven't been written yet. So sometimes the artwork is a reflection of impressions I get from looking at the titles to the tracks. And I kind of run with that. I love working for metal bands because whatever I come up with, they ask me to make it even more extreme. And so they're constantly challenging me to go a little further over the edge, and I enjoy that.
Finally, is there any advice that you have for aspiring fantasy artists?
Yes, my advice would be to stay true to yourself and to paint your paintings, not try to copy somebody else's. And base your paintings upon your own life experiences so that they have some contemporary relevance, even though they're in a fantastic language. So that would be my advice.
Game Masters.
Ja, bij de eerste editie van Fantastyval zijn ook de babes. En we hebben natuurlijk in Zoetermeer met ze gepraat, vorige keer in Nederland. Maar we vragen het af hoe het met hun tour gaat. Hello ladies, you look wonderful, again of course.
Thank you, that's our job.
It's your job to look wonderful, yeah.
Amongst being immensely musically talented, you know.
Yeah, it's very important.
And very modest as well. Yeah.
Well, I spoke to you a year ago when you started the tour. And I'm very curious, and of course the fans, how is the tour going? What's the best thing that happened?
On this tour, well, this is actually just a one-off gig, but we've recently come back from America. We went out we did like an East Coast tour where we played at the Maryland Renaissance Fair, and we played in Pittsburgh in the Grounds Museum, which is a particularly enjoyable show. And then we're going on a cathedral tour, doing all the major cathedrals of the UK in December.
Okay, and I heard a few gigs were cancelled in the UK, and a few fans were disappointed, so they're hoping you come back in the UK. Is that correct?
No, I wasn't aware of that happening. That's completely wrong.
All right. Yeah, I read it on the forum somewhere, but yeah.
We haven't cancelled any gigs, as far as I know.
In fact, Catherine actually was still performing nine months pregnant, 1 week before she gave birth.
No, 3 days.
3 days. We never cancel a show, ever.
Yeah.
Unless you're dead, you have to do the show, as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, I gave birth to my second daughter 4 months ago, and I was gigging up till 3 days beforehand, and then I went back on stage again 2 months later. So
Wow.
we do not cancel.
No.
Never let it be said that we flake out.
No, even if you're dead, you get your corpse dragged on
You
stage.
stick a broomstick up the back of the corpse and go on.
Like a puppet.
Well, it's been a fantastic year with a lot of experience, but also something tragic happened, of course, for a lot of fans. The leaving of Rabbit.
Clay Rabbit,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you?
She's a really old friend of mine and Emily's, and it is quite upsetting that she had to go, but no.
She's no longer with us, yeah. No,
But we have got Sarah now.
We've got Sarah, who's our new babe, and she's fantastic, and she has a huge amount of experience in the theatre world, which is something that we're working on at the moment, which is putting together a new show, which is going to be much more theatrical. And Sarah's got a lot of experience in that world, so that's really exciting. She's bringing a lot to the pot.
Yeah, and the band over the years had so many members come and go, and when anyone goes, it is sad, but people bring new energy to it, and that is what keeps it alive in a way. It's people manifesting new kinds of dreams and visions for the band.
Bringing
all the
new
time.
ideas into
Yeah.
because obviously the band has been going for a long time. Catherine's been in it from the beginning. I've been in it for 8 years now, so it's nice to have some fresh blood. You know.
Fresh meat on the slab.
Yeah, maybe also for the fans, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, also, yeah, exactly. Some fresh meat for the fans.
Yeah.
And about Sarah, I read she squeaks like a mouse. Was that one? Was it a requirement for getting into the band?
No. We found out about that afterwards.
Yeah, no. If we'd known about that before, we might not have let her in.
You still have it with rehearsing that she makes squeaking noises.
She has done the impression of the mouse noise for us, and it was very impressive, I have to say. If you need someone to do a mouse noise, then she's your girl.
Yeah.
show. Of course, the details are in wraps, and what can you tell us about it?
Well, we're going to explore the realm of the fantastical.
Yes,
Yeah.
the dark fairy tale. Yeah.
When will it be finished?
Well, we're aiming to have it sort of done by kind of the beginning of next year. So next year, when we go out and start playing, then we'll have the new show.
Game Masters.
We zijn alweer aangekomen bij het einde van Fantastyval. Ik vond het zelf eigenlijk best wel een leuk festival. Ook mede door de locatie. En natuurlijk omdat ik met de babes heb kunnen babbelen. Wat vond jij ervan, Erik?
Nou, echt een leuk festival. Goed opgezet, ruim, mooie omgeving. Maar ook unieke dingen zoals de Lord of the Rings filmnacht en Rivendell banket. Het was gewoon eigenlijk super, alleen eigenlijk vielen de aantal mensen me een beetje tegen.
Ja, nou gelukkig voor Gwen is er heel goed nieuws. Want jij bent de nieuwe eigenaar van het huis hier achter ons, hè? Hoe voelt het nou?
Na de vijandige overname van de vorige eigenaars heb ik het huis nu helemaal eigen gemaakt. En binnenkort exclusieve beelden van mijn housewarming party op 4gm.nl.
En daar ben ik ook wel voor uitgenodigd, neem ik aan.
Ja.
Oké, nou. Tot de volgende keer bij de Game Masters.
Game Masters.